ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Pink Stuff in the Field podcast. I am your host, Daniel Smith, and you are probably wondering what the pink stuff in the field even means, and we'll get to that eventually. To sum it up for now, it's the title of a companion book that I'm authoring about all of the things that we were told when we were little that were either made up or stretches of the truth. And in some cases they were true, but absolutely hilarious. Just all those little things when we were kids that now that we're grown up, we can look back and be like, you know, mom and dad weren't right about that. It's like they always said that and it was wrong. There's a story behind it that alludes to some pink stuff in the field when I was a kid. We'll save that for the end of the show here. But this podcast sets out to reflect on all those little things now that we're adults. That roughly translates into I'm going to talk about all kinds of different things, and we're going to have some laughs in the process. The show's a little different maybe than some other podcasts that you've listened to in that we're not going to stick with a single theme or topic throughout the course. No two episodes are going to be the same, I'm hoping. It's just I'm going to talk about whatever I want to talk about, and we're gonna laugh about it. A little background on me. Again, my name's Daniel Smith. I am from Iowa. I live in northern Minnesota now. Moved up here a few years ago. But as far as me, I think I'm actually a pretty interesting character. I by trade, I'm a musician, an author, comedian. I've done some minor acting work years ago in some educational plays type stuff, some sketch comedy. And I also co-host an outdoor show on YouTube called Elements of the Outdoors. Check that out if you like. Me and my buddy Alex have been doing that for a little over a year now. And that's a lot of fun too. That's kind of my getaway from all of my other artistic stuff is to go out and chase fish in the great outdoors and just kind of take a break from everything else. A couple other interesting things about me I'm just gonna throw out here for this first episode. I was a police officer for a number of years with a couple different departments here in the Midwest, and that's really changed. I'll say it changed my outlook on a lot of things, and then since then I've changed my outlook on a lot of the things, a lot of the views and things that I had when I was working in that capacity, and I think it's really really changed me for the better. It's been kind of a roller coaster, ups and downs, and changing political opinions and things like that, but. All in all, it's all part of the things that make me who I am, and I'm okay with that. So now in between doing all my my different artistic ventures, like most Americans, I work a second job. I work some odd and end jobs around the community just to pay the bills, and have a hell of a time doing it. I have a lot of fun watching different idiots throughout the different jobs that I've had, and those stories are all going to be shared, and you guys you're gonna have fun with that. But anyways, I started this podcast as a chance to take all those passions I have and gather them all under one umbrella, and it keeps me passionate that way. If I want to talk about writing, we'll talk about writing. We want to talk about comedy, we'll do comedy. We can talk about fishing, we'll talk music. Like I said, the idea here is to leave no stone unturned and to discuss everything under the sun. We're going to have guests, eventually, and we're going to have just a great time talking about everything. And at the same time, keeping it entertaining, keeping it funny, which leads us to today's topic. Going to reflect on Halloween. Going to tell some Halloween stories from growing up. Maybe bring up some Halloween things that people have forgotten about, and we're gonna have a good time. But before I kick that off, I'm gonna talk a little bit about current news and things that are trending. just because it's fun to stay on top of things. And, years later, we can look back at this time in our lives and we can listen to these podcasts and absolutely laugh hysterically about all the stupid stuff that seemed so important at the time. And it's really just trivial political BS that nobody's going to care about in a week. So, of course, we have the upcoming election. It's October 28th. Halloween's just around the corner, hence the topic for today's discussion. The election it is what it is. I'm not going to get too deep into politics here. To take a metaphor from South Park, right now it's a giant douche and a turd sandwich. Take your pick as to which is the lesser of those two evils. Flip a coin, whatever. It's going to happen. It's probably going to be interfered with by one country or another. Regardless of who wins, the other guy is going to be claiming foul. It was interfered with. We need to do over. The writing's on the wall. It is what it is. Moving on. Let's see. Football news. We have, here in the Northwoods, I am a Minnesota Vikings fan. I hate to admit that to anybody else. But the Vikings, they're bad. They're just absolute horse shit this year. Like Kirk Cousins, I love the guy, great guy. I watched him in college, being a fan of the Big Ten. I thought he was good in college, great at finding the open guy, and he's done stuff at that level, in the NFL, but just not having a good year. He's playing bad. The offensive line is playing worse. The defense is playing horrendous. I mean, there's been injuries, and anyways, it is not a good year to be. Well, it's both good and it's bittersweet to be a Vikings fan this year. It's good because we know rebuilding's coming. I don't have to worry about missing the games because there's shit to watch anyways. But it hurts. I mean, just to see, just a couple of years ago, like literally a few plays from going to the Super Bowl, and here we are. Anyways. What else is going on? More sports news. Daniel Jones, the quarterback for the New York Giants. If you haven't heard about this is worth a Google. I'll try and put a link to this somewhere so you guys can see this. It's absolutely hilarious. Daniel Jones took off on a breakaway play, and there was nobody near him. It was like an 80-yard run. He was set to go to the house. He was, I think, 20, 30 yards from the end zone. And for no reason whatsoever, he tripped over his own feet and face planted with nobody else around him, ball in hand. And then was, subsequently ruled down by contact, but it was just hilarious to watch. I mean, and it on the breakaway, I'll show them headed for the end zone. No one's going to touch me. And then he trips and eats shit like the neighbor's dog. Oh my God. And it's so embarrassing to do that in the national spotlight. But at the same time, I say that as somebody who grew up doing stupid crap like that. Like if there was somebody who's going to fall down and skin their knee walking, that's me. Fall going up the stairs, that was me. I don't know why. I was athletic. It's not that I was uncoordinated. But it's for me, it's hilarious to see that because, it's like for the Giants, at least that was only one player on one play. Like the Vikings players they're doing that every down, every player is falling down like that. It's like there's something in the water or they're fogging the locker room with chloroform. I don't know. They're just out of it. Anyways, so Daniel Jones, you're going to be the winner of the inaugural Pink Stuff of the Week award. I just made that up right now. That's an award for stuff that happens as an adult that's embarrassing, but you brush it off and don't even think about it a week later. But if you're a kid, it will absolutely make or break your childhood if you do something like that. And that's, again, coming from a guy who's been there and can relate. So, congratulations, Daniel Jones, winner of the Pink Stuff of the Week award. I'll show them. Bam, faceplant. I feel for you, brother. moving on to today's topic, Halloween. Halloween stories. You gotta love Halloween. I'm not gonna go into detail about the history of Halloween or the religious views about the holiday, or tell the story of the headless horseman or any shit like that. You want a podcast like that? There's literally hundreds of them out there that will cover all those topics for you. And this one, we're just going to keep it real. I'm going to tell you some stories, Halloween stories, from my childhood. Mostly just fun, entertaining stuff. I do have a couple of scary ones. I mean, they're scary to me because I fucking lived through them. And it's just weird, unexplained stuff that I really can't put my finger on. We'll circle back to that, and then we'll close out with the original Pink Stuff in the Field story. It's not a great story; it's just a story, but it'll give you a little more insight as to where I came up with the name and the branding for the podcast here. So first off, I got to say Halloween is the best. It's easily one of my favorite holidays. And, I can't honestly say that where it's just like, well, I love every holiday. It's one of my favorites. Well, yeah, but no, I would say probably like New Year's, Christmas, and then probably Halloween. I mean, if I had to rank them, I don't know. But, I love it. My wife loves it. We decorate the house. We kind of go all out. We put light up stuff in the windows. We love it. My nephews love it. All kids love Halloween for the most part. But put in simplest terms, it's the one day a year you get to dress up as anybody you want, right? And people give you free candy and cater parties for you for doing it. Like, think about that. When in your life can you get away with doing that again? You never get that treatment as an adult. I mean, aside from on Halloween, but it's just like, you don't go to work and fucking the first week of June and just be like, I'm going to dress up as Abraham Lincoln today and people are going to love me for it. And so they say, wow, what a cool costume. You look like Abe Lincoln. No, nobody does that except on Halloween. So it's that one day of the year. And I don't care, where that tradition came from. If that was old English bullshit or whatever, I don't care. I think it is really cool. We have a holiday dedicated to dressing up like someone else. And it's like, hey, you know what? You look so good as that other person. I'm going to give you candy for payment because it's a lot of fun. Trick-or-treating was the best though. Like, we had like where I grew up, we had the school parties. And then, trick or treat night was always on Halloween. I hate that new trend of moving Halloween. I remember one year when I was a cop, police chief did that. Decided he didn't want trick or treat night on Halloween. I think it was on a Saturday or a Sunday. I don't remember which. I think it was a Saturday, and he knew it was a college town. He knew it was going to be busier than shit. And he's like, oh, well, we don't want all this going on at the same time. And so he fucking moved. He meant to move the night of trick or treat, the night of the Halloween celebrating, proper. But what came out in the press release was basically police chief moves Halloween. And it's like, well, you can't fucking move the day. It's still October 31st. Like, mayor moves Christmas. No, that doesn't happen. But anyways, he changed the trick or treat night to like the 29th or November 2nd or some bullshit off, either side. I felt so bad for those kids. It's like, it's Halloween day. You get to wear your costume to school. You're in middle school and high school. You got the Halloween dances rocking, but you don't get to trick or treat. Like, you can do that another night. I was like, well, I guess you get another night of fun out of the deal. But to me, it's just, it doesn't seem right. It's like eating Thanksgiving turkey on like, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving proper. It doesn't seem right. Anyway, so we had trick or treat night always on Halloween. Rain, snow, shine, didn't matter. We did our trick or treating growing up, and you had huge candy hauls. You hit as many houses as you can in our little town, within reason. But you got these huge bags of candy out of the deal. You just went home and ate till you were sick. Well, I did anyways. And in the Midwest, we had stuff that, they do it elsewhere. I certainly haven't heard about it from as many people from elsewhere, but I think it's a real Midwest thing. Was the homemade popcorn balls, which I think is just like kind of like a Rice Krispie where you use the marshmallow as the binder, but you do it with popcorn instead of Rice Krispies, and then you put some food coloring in there, and you make popcorn balls that were green or blue or red or purple or whatever. But yeah, you made this ball, like roughly the size of a baseball, just out of popcorn and marshmallows and some food coloring. And it's like, for as simple and stupid as that recipe is, like, it's so simple, they don't sell popcorn balls in the store. It was like the one time a year you had to get those things. And I thought that was just awesome, because you don't get them anywhere else. I suppose if I really, really begged, like my mom and my grandma, I could have got some out of the deal. I don't know. But like, just one of those things. It's like pumpkin pie, you save that for the holidays. Most people were really good about trick-or-treating. Most people gave out favorable candy. But then, I don't know, you get some real weirdos too at the same time. Like, I remember there's one house where the guy was giving out like small handfuls of change. I think I got like 17 cents or something for trick or treating. He's like, "Here you go, Sonny." It's like, what the fuck? He's like, what else? Weird candy. Like, I think we got some weird candy. I'm assuming it was, purchased overseas, or I don't know, but we got some candy once. I think had like some Japanese or Chinese writing on it or something. It's just like, and it didn't have flavor, like there was green ones and purple ones and red ones, and they all just tasted like fucking sugar. Like, there was no, oh, this is raspberry. It's like, no, this is just sugar is all you're going to taste. What else was, yeah. There was a guy that he gave out like old crushed Chico sticks is what it was. Like, what the fuck is a Chico stick? Like, I'd never heard of those growing up. They didn't have them in the stores because it looked nasty, and I tried one, I think, and it was nasty. But his were like, oh yeah, like Butterfingers and shit too, and Jolly Ranchers. They were all mashed up like he took a fucking hammer to them. And I don't know if that was intentional or maybe he was a drunk and he fell down a lot. I have no idea. But I remember kind of where the house was at, actually. But yeah, he's just a creepy old guy, and he's just like, "Here's some candy for you," and it's like, yeah, you're giving life advice too, dude. Like, don't end up like me. Oh, classic costumes. I'm trying to think of all the different costumes I had over the years. Like, we didn't go all out for Halloween, but like my older brother and I especially, like, we started plotting pretty early from, what we were going to be for Halloween. I want to say like my first costume that I ever remember was probably like preschool, kindergarten, probably preschool. And I was a dinosaur, and I had like a green dinosaur mask and a dinosaur, the proverbial Walmart costume you get into. And I don't remember what my brother was that year. I know one year he was the man in black from The Princess Bride, the Dread Pirate Roberts. Like, he had the costume, and Mom, she took some old makeup to him and gave him the little mustache, and he had the sword and the whole 9 yards, and it was an awesome costume. Like, it really was. Like he made the headband or the face mask cut out and everything. And then Mom, she gave him the mustache, and she's like, "Oh man, my costume, what am I, a dinosaur? This blows. I want to be the man in black." It was great. Like, one other year he was a mummy. I remember that. Like, my mom she was a nurse's aide at the time, and she had access to like ace bandages and shit. And she, I don't know, don't ask me where she acquired them. Somehow we ended up with like 20 ace wrap bandages, the stretchy elastic wrap bandages, like the 3-4 inch wide ones. We had like 20 of them, like a whole basket full of them. And we wrapped my brother all up in them to be a mummy around his arms and his legs and his head and everything. And I mean, it was legit because they were like, some of them were like just like cotton wrap, almost like a gauze type. Like they didn't have the stretch to them. And so those ones are kind of stretched, and then, they'd kind of hang and hold shape. And like he looked like a legit fucking mummy to begin with. Well, then my mom, she's really good with like makeup, like painting. She did like our special effects for us. And I remember she painted my brother's face. So it was real gaunt and sunken, like a skeleton with some skin on it, but he was pale and had rings around his eyes. I mean, he looked like a zombie underneath, which is what I guess you would expect a mummy to look like underneath all that wrap. But it's like the few spots where he missed wrap deliberately on his head, there was like zombie poking through. It was just a phenomenal costume for a little kid. I thought it was hilarious. My mom did that. She did that all the time. Like, she'd make just like practice special effects on her arms and shit. Like, hey mom, give me a big bruise. Okay. It's like, give me a big cut. I remember one time when we were kids, and this picture, I swear to God, this picture still exists somewhere. My mom, she used like the fake, they had like the fake skin and the fake blood kits at Walmart. I mean, I still got them, but this was like, the putty and stuff. Well, then she did a lot with acrylic paints too. And she could work wonders, with acrylic paints, with blending the different colors and stuff. But she did up my brother and I. We were probably, I don't know, 7, 8, 10 years old, somewhere in there. And she did us up like we got into like the biggest fist fight ever. Like she drew it up like we literally piss pounded each other in the kitchen, and like stabbing instruments were involved. Like there was bruises, dislocated nose, open cuts, bloody lip, bloody nose, like cuts on the arm. I mean, like it legitimately looked like we were trying to fucking kill each other. And we posed for a picture. And I think like the first picture we were like smiling, like, this is awesome. Mom made us look like Hollywood. And it's like, I don't know if she said it or it's like, why are we smiling? Like, no, make it look like you guys were fighting. And it's like, what is she doing to us? And so we took a picture where like I was like crying and my brother was like mad that this had happened. And it looked so legit. And those pictures, I swear to God, they still exist somewhere at my parents' house. I need to find them because that is just like the profile picture, Throwback Thursday to end all. But what's hilarious was like, this was back when, we didn't have Polaroids. We didn't have digital cameras, for fuck's sake. So we had to take the film out of the camera, and take it to Walmart or wherever, and you get it developed. Well, what's so crazy is these pictures, they went through that process and nobody said anything. Like if you did your kids up today like that and somebody saw those pictures on the internet, they'd fucking call social services on your ass and be like, yeah, she beats the shit out of her kids and takes pictures of it. Look. And it's just like, back then it was just like something to do when we were bored before Halloween. Like, yeah, thank God they weren't real injuries. Developer lady at Walmart who never calls the cops for anything. Like my parents could have been pummeling me like that all the time and taking fucking pictures of it. And yeah, what's the Walmart lady care? It's like, I'm making minimum wage. And these kids, blah, blah, blah. And then like the school didn't call either. Cause she'd do those injuries up for us like the week of Halloween. It's like, give me a big cut on my arm so I can go to school. Give me a fake tattoo so I can go to school. And she'd do it. Like she'd paint it up and it'd look real. Like she used to paint fake tattoos with acrylic paint, and they looked so real. People thought I went and got ink done when I was like fucking 15 years old and 12 years old. I was like, no, my mom just painted something quick. I thought it was hilarious, but like the school never called either. Like one year I had this massive cut on my arm, not a real one, one that she made. I think I was Jason Voorhees. Yes, I'll come back to Jason. I was Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th series. And I had, Jason, he does get hurt. He does get shot, and it never hurts him, it never stops him. But anyways, I wanted to bear some type of injury, and she made this cut on my forearm, and it was huge. It was like, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 inches long. And she built up the sides with the fake skin. so that she could make the middle, the incision, like go down into my arm. Like this thing looked like it was 3/4 of an inch deep and full of blood. And it was all fake. It was all just stuck on my arm. And I just like the school. I mean, it was a part of the Halloween costume. I get that, but just like, there's other times where I'd have her make a fake bruise or something. And, you keep it on. You're like, I'm not going to wash this arm for days because I want to show all my friends. And it's like nobody from school ever fucking called. Like, never even asked about it. Like, the lunch lady in the lunch line is seeing it. And it's just like, oh my God, did you see his arm? I'm like, nah, who fucking cares? It's just another kid. Like, here's your mashed potatoes. Fuck all. I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. Oh, what other costumes did we have? I'm pretty sure my brother and I were both Chuck Norris one year. I'd have to check on this, but I'm pretty sure we had like matching Chuck Norris costumes, like the plastic mask. With the suit. I think there was like white and blue and white and red. And I think like he was blue and I was red or vice versa. Same fucking costume, just different colors. I'm fairly certain. If not, he was Chuck Norris one year and I was the next. Cause I know we had two of them things floating around the house. What else? I was a vampire the one year. Oh yeah, scary. I had the fake, little plastic teeth you put in, and a cape, and what else? Oh, I was speaking of my mom's special effects. I was Frankenstein's monster one year, and like I got like a big pair of like big heavy boots and like fake Frankenstein hand, the monster's hands, big wrinkly hairy fingers, and then like for my head, like proverbial Frankenstein's monster, he's got the bolts in his neck. He's usually green and he's usually got this big bulbous, almost cube shaped head. Like his forehead was always prominent. Whether it was done that way or described that way, I don't know. That's just like, I think Frankenstein, I think this big square head, bolts sticking out of the neck, And so to try and replicate that as best we could, my mom made she was big with paper mache. Like she could move mountains with paper mache. And so she was going to build up this big Frankenstein head using paper mache. And if I remember correctly, like the original shape she was using, I think it was the bottom of one of the smaller brown paper bags. Don't quote me on this, but I think it was. Anyways, so what happened was she made it to fit my head, like today's Hollywood ball cap, like the bald cap, basically. It would stick over your head, and then she'd blend in the edges so it looked legit. Well, to start off with, the bottom of a brown paper bag is square as fuck. Like it's nothing but right angles down there when you get to the bottom. And so to invert that and stick it on top of somebody's head, like you're already kind of dooming them to failure. But it's like, well, smash the corners around it. I had faith in my mom. And there's like no mirror I'm looking in while she's doing this. So as far as I know, I'm going to be like the best Frankenstein since fucking Peter Boyle, And so we get done with it. And I thought it looked great. It was kind of square, It's like, oh, but it's all mushy. It's paper mache, It'll work out. Well, what happened was it fucking shrunk. Like as just like anything else, when the moisture comes out of it, the plaster, the flour plaster or cornstarch or whatever she was using to bind all the paper together. Well, it when it dried, it fucking shrunk from the size of my head when it fit nice and tight. So I went to put this beast on after it had dried, and she painted it green. And kind of put some scars and stitches on it, and put some fake hair and shit on it. And I went to put it on, and it's like it didn't come anywhere near fitting my head. I mean, it was like a half inch too small. It was like trying to put on a little kid's hat when you're an adult. It's like it just doesn't fucking work. And I was like, oh no. And so I was like pushing it. Well, then like I think part of it tore. And she cobbled it and made it a little bigger so that it kind of fit, but I always thought my Frankenstein paper mache head stuck up way, way too prominently, way too high on my head. And it looked screwy as hell to begin with because it was so square. And now it's just making my head taller and not wider. And it's just like, talk about a blockhead. That was, it was the absolute like cube shaped fucking head. And it didn't look bad, but it was almost like it became almost like a caricature of Frankenstein's monster. So it actually worked out to my advantage because it got to the point where it was just like, it was so ridiculously cube shaped. It's like, you know, other kids would see it as, I don't know, what was it, third grade, second grade, some shit. And they're probably, you got to the point where people were just like, I see what you were trying to do there. And it's so square. Like, I'm just going to give this to you because it's like, I see what you did. That's ironic. You're being sarcastic. You took Frankenstein to the most extreme Frankenstein possible and you done well. And it's just like other kids, rather than bully or tease me for it, like they appreciated it. And I thought it was fucking hilarious because it's just like, yeah, this thing barely fits my head. Like my head hurts from wearing this. Thanks. You know, I thought they were just taking pity on me, but they were legit like, wow, cool square Frankenstein head. Oh, what else? I was a zombie army guy one year, and that just came about like masks were on sale, probably at Kmart or something. And there was a mask. It was like a skeleton face, like a skull in a older, you know, Vietnam era war helmet. I'm assuming Vietnam. It could have been World War II. I don't know. It was the olive drab green war helmet. Could have been Grenada. Yeah, there we go. Grenada. That's what it was. Lost some good hours of sleep in that battle. Anyways, no, I had the old military coat. It was kind of ripped up and I think a fake Uzi or Tommy gun, or it was a Tech 9. I think it was the Tech 9 or an Uzi back when cap guns looked so much like real guns. They were fucking shooting kids in LA and San Diego and shit. Yeah. It was back when a cap gun was a man's gun, like even the weight of them, you know, some of you might remember those guns, but, yeah, I had, I think, one of those, and then I was just this zombie guy that evidently I died in war, but I didn't die in war. I don't know. I didn't put a lot of thought into it. Like, I saw the mask, and it was one of those impulse buys when you're a kid, and it's just like, if nothing else fucking happens on this shopping trip, like if I don't get Burger King, I don't care. I'm getting that fucking mask, and I'm going to do something with it. And that's exactly what happened. It's like, well, I got the mask. Let's piece the rest of this together. Yeah, and then I was Jason Voorhees that year, and I remember that year pretty vividly because they passed this no violence theme on the teachers did at school, because what we would do was we think we had an early out. Well, we didn't have an early out. We had Halloween parties at the end of the day. That's what it was. Everybody would dress up, and you'd wear. Some kids would wear their Halloween costumes all day, like the cool kids like me, and other kids would just put their shit on at the last minute because, like, I don't want to be Cinderella all day. It's like, well, fucking don't then. But anyways, so we dress up and wear our costumes all day, and then like the last hour or hour and a half of the day, whatever it was. Starting with the kindergarten room, they would have this parade that walked through all the other classrooms. This is a small school. We could do this and still have the rest of the week to learn. So the kindergartners would walk into the first grade room. They'd walk all around the room and line up so everybody could see all their costumes. Well, then the first graders, they'd be sitting there. They'd all stand up and show their costumes to all the kids, as they're walking through the room. Well, then the first grade would fall in line behind kindergarten, and then those two classes would go to second grade and do the same thing. And then second grade would tack on. They'd go to the third grade, and they'd go all the way through the rooms. And they passed this no violence theme. Like, I think it was in fourth or fifth grade, and it's like they didn't want any violence. No, they didn't want weapons. Like, they didn't come right out and say it, because it's the middle of bumfuck Midwest. Like, they're not going to gonna pass a deal where like your kid's in trouble if he brings a fake knife to school. These were different times then, but yeah, they didn't want violent themes, and they had I remember they had recommendations on the letter. It was fucking hilarious because they're like, maybe be a ghost or an angel or something non-threatening. I was like, you want me to dress up like fucking Mother Teresa? The one night out of the year I get to dress up as somebody else, and you want me to be something lame? I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So what did my ass do? It's like, I found this glow in the dark ski mask. Again, probably at Walmart. I'm pretty sure it was Walmart. It's like, oh, let's go Halloween shopping. Mom's got to get groceries. And so it's like, a few weeks before Halloween, and we're fucking Walmart. And here's this hockey mask. It's like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to be Jason, just to fuck with people. And because I couldn't bring a real machete to school, even back then, I think they frowned on that, or my parents wouldn't grant me access to one. I don't remember the detail. However, it ended up, I did not have the means to acquire a real fucking machete. So I settled for a fake plastic hatchet. I mean, it looked pretty real, especially once I kind of weathered it a little bit, And yeah, that was the year my mom, she did that giant fucking cut on my arm. And it's just like, hey, no violence. Like, okay, I'll be fucking Jason Voorhees. And then I remember a kid in my class. He had the same I don't give a shit attitude, and it's like he was the fucking Terminator. And so it's just like Jason Voorhees and the Terminator. We're like fourth grade. Like you're not supposed to know what a rated R movie is at that point. And we're fucking dressing up as main characters from movies that are like known for nothing but like nudity and killing. And I thought it was hilarious. It's like, here's the fucking Terminator. Here's Jason Voorhees hanging out together in the no violence Halloween party. Holy shit. But then, yeah, trick-or-treating, it was good. Like all the houses would be decorated, for the most part. People, they'd put up, we'd have the Halloween party at the end of the school day. And after everybody walked through all the classrooms, and they'd go back to their classrooms, and then you'd have, everybody would bring snacks, and you'd eat brownies and shit, and just talk about the good costumes and the guys with, the shitty paper mache Frankenstein heads. And it was a good time. And then, you'd go home and you'd lollygag till it got dark, and then trick-or-treating would start. And so I'd go hit the town, just with my family when I was younger. And then as I got older, I just dropped me off at a friend's house, and we'd go around and trick or treat. And like I said, most houses, they decorate and they'd have the porch lights on. They had some really cool ones. Like, house would be all decorated. There'd be like they dig up their yard or haul dirt to their yard so that it looked like the tombstone. It'd give the tombstone in the front yard clout, so it looked like a freshly dug fucking grave. Like, that's going all out. Like, when you got to load up a truck and bring in a truckload of dirt to make the graves in your front yard with arms and shit sticking out of them, that's my kind of Halloweener. That's awesome. But and then they'd have like a guy dressed up as a scarecrow, some skinny fucking guy sitting on a bench, and he'd have straw sticking out from his extremities, and you just be like, oh, it's just a fucking scarecrow. Look how weird it looks. And you go to walk by it, and the guy would jump up and grab you or scream at you. And it's like little kids would piss their pants. And, as you're older, you're just like, that's fucking great, Like, I wouldn't have thought of it to put all that effort in. And like I said, it was newspapers or straw or whatever you'd stuff the dummy with poking out that really sold it, because you're just like, oh, he looks kind of wonky. It could be a real guy. Oh, no, he's got the stuffing sticking out, dude. It's safe. You can walk up to him and poke him. Yeah, right. And then let's see. What other traditions? Oh, my kindergarten teacher. This is true story, actually. And anybody who went to school with me will know exactly who I'm talking about. My kindergarten teacher, every year, she had this big, like, cast iron, like, legit cast iron cauldron looking thing. She'd put it on her porch, and she would dress up as a witch, and she would fill this giant pot with hot dogs, and she would boil hot dogs, and she'd have buns, hot dogs, and a table full of fixins for anybody who wanted to stop by and eat hot dogs. And it was like no limit. It was not like you only get one. It was just like, oh my God, I had you in kindergarten. Here, eat as many hot dogs as you want. I'll go make more. Like, I don't know how many, I've always wanted to ask her, like, how many hundreds of hot dogs did you need for that one night of trick-or-treating? Because I know, like, my friends and I, especially as we got older, like into middle school, like, we didn't care so much about candy or costumes. We just went there to get fucking hot dogs because it was cold. And, you know, these are hot, like, literally boiling hot dogs. And it was just, the two went together so well. And yeah, I couldn't believe she did that. I mean, she must have gave out hundreds of hot dogs. I mean, it's been over 100. I'd say over 100 for sure every year. And I thought that was really cool. And I've never heard of anyone else doing anything like that. And let's see. Well, then as I got older, we didn't terrorize town. I mean, we'd go walk around town. We wouldn't dress up in costume. We'd go walk around town and we'd stop at all our friends' houses and just be like, hey, give us candy. And, you know, hit or miss whether their parents made shit out of us, where it's just like, you don't have a costume. What do you want candy for? I was like, oh, come on. You know, I'm your other kid. I'm your kid's friend. I'm your other kid. Give me candy. But we never did anything, you know, we didn't break shit or burn shit down. We didn't cause trouble at that age. We just walk around town. Of course, like I said, we were more in it for the hot dogs than anything. I think we tried to play football one year with a glow in the dark football at like 10 o'clock at fucking night. That doesn't work. Like, you can see the ball, but what you can't see is your friend dressed all in dark clothes coming at you at 100 miles an hour. Learning experience. Don't play football. I mean, it was dark. Like, it was in the park and there were some lights further up towards the school, but like the grassy part where we played football, there's no lights there. And then once I got to be a cop, Halloween was super busy. You know, every weekend or every Halloween was just like people running everywhere. You know, kids breaking shit, smashing. There's always smashing pumpkins, like always. I don't know what joy people got out of that. Like, personally, I've never picked up a pumpkin and smashed it. Maybe I don't know what I'm missing. I don't know, but it's like that crap went on all over. You know, ding dong ditch, just stupid stuff like that. Hiding from cars, kids in werewolf masks running through traffic, which is a great way to get killed, by the way. I know when I was a cop one year, I remember there must have been a group of kids and they were mobile. Like, these kids are old enough to drive. They're old enough that smashing a pumpkin, they should be getting smashed instead of smashing things, is how old they were. Like, they had access to motor vehicles, which tells me they're old enough to know how to drive. It doesn't mean they're legal to drive. It tells me they're at least probably 12 years old. And they must have just decided the cops are into something. We're going to go fucking smash every pumpkin we can. Like, it's like they took the week to scout out where all the pumpkins were. And like, they had this little pumpkin fucking treasure map with them when they went to drive around, because they were smashing like 85% of the pumpkins in town that were visible were smashed. Like, it was bad. And people were calling the police like crazy. Someone smashed our pumpkins. It's like, well, you know, Halloween's over in a few hours. So I guess you could, you know, you don't need the jack-o'-lantern for anything else. But no, I had a reserve riding with me that year, and we're just like, Jesus Christ, what's with all the fucking pumpkins? Like, you come around the corner and like pumpkin on a busy road, that shit is slick. Like, you know how slimy it is when you're taking it out of the jack-o'-lantern with your hand. It's so much worse when it's mashed into pavement from cars driving over it. Like, it's almost like greasing railroad tracks. Like, people will fucking wreck. If you smash enough pumpkins in a roadway, it's just like driving on glare ice. And I remember we were pulling up to I think a stop sign, and like, I was sliding so bad, like the analog brakes started grinding on the squad car. I was like, Jesus Christ. And he's like, we got to catch these fuckers. And so I think it was him that first coined it. He said we should set up a pumpkin sting, like the stolen bike sting, you know, like you see on Cops or Live PD or all those dumb shows. And we were just rolling, like we're driving around, how trick or treating's wrapping up. We're just looking for any suspicious vehicle that might be these kids. We got nothing else going on, and we're talking about this pumpkin sting, fictitiously, but as if we were really going to do it. And it got more and more detailed as the night went on. And I was like, yeah. I said, we'll do it up like I said, we'll film it like an episode of Cops. I said, we'll do it up like one of the buy bust, one of the drug buy bust episodes of Cops from like the mid '90s that they filmed in New Jersey. Like those are gold. I mean, talk about like choke slams and racial profiling and shit. Like that is old school copping at its worst. And I was like, yeah, we'll do it that way. We'll do it up like those freaking like those Jersey drug episodes of Cops. And it's like, we got to get everybody on board for this one, And it's like we'll put the pumpkin here. We'll put the pumpkin on the corner under the street light. We'll put Reggie in the bushes, and the other guy is the backup vehicle. You're gonna drop back to 24th Street and just wait on my signal. Like anybody would give a shit. Like it's like a $2 pumpkin. Like who fucking cares? It was just something to talk about. It made me. It still makes me laugh just thinking about. Like imagining if I was flipping through fucking channels and I came across an episode of Cops, and that's what they're doing. Like they're catching the high schoolers and the junior high kids smashing fucking $2 pumpkins in the middle of the residential intersection at 10:30 at night. I would piss my pants and get some pizza rolls because I would watch the whole fucking thing, and I would happily watch the whole thing, just giggling to myself like an idiot. Oh, what other cop stories? Oh, we had, I think it was this, I'm pretty sure it was the same year. I don't think it was the same year as the Pumpkins. No, it might have been, but it was definitely the same year that the police chief moved Halloween because he has the executive power to do that, apparently. We had a college town that would have, they'd have on a good weekend, they'd have a shitload of parties. And on Halloween, they'd be drinking at starting at 2:00 in the afternoon. So that by the time it's dark, they're either passed out or walking somewhere to pass out drunk. And this huge house party, and it was this house is literally a block from the bar, from the main college bar. So it's all the rental houses, where they break windows and party every weekend. But on Halloween, holy fucking shit. We knew this party, I came on duty, I think at 7:00, and I knew it was going to be a big party because we were getting calls on it right away where it was loud, but it really wasn't, it wasn't dark or anything. So we didn't worry too much about it. But, as the evening progressed, you'd make extra passes by there. And it's every time you go by, it's the giant group of people in the yard is getting bigger and bigger. And pretty soon you start seeing people with open containers in the street and people pissing in the neighbors' yards. And it's just yep, this thing's going to get called in and shut down. We're going to be dealing with this before the night's over. And I remember because it's fucking Halloween, everybody's in costumes, and we got a call about it. And our standard protocol was if we hadn't been called there yet that semester or that school year, we just note who lives there, who the landlord is, and just give them their first, standard warning. And I'm fairly certain this was their first warning. And to their credit, the guys that were hosting the thing, they were trying to downsize this party all night. And it's people get there. This was the age of, this is when the cell phones were really major. This is back the BlackBerry days, the Razor days, before all the smartphones. And so just everybody's fucking calling everybody, hey, come down to this house, come down to this house. And this party was fucking huge. Well, we get everybody's information. They get everybody out of the house. We help them get everybody moved on. Of course, they all just go to the bar so we can deal with them again in a couple hours. But we got everybody out of the house except, a few select friends and, girlfriends and stuff of the guys that were living there. And it's that's cool. They can stay there and keep it social. We're pretty flexible cops. But then we found a door to the basement. And I didn't even know the house had a fucking basement. There's no windows or anything. And so me and this reserve that was riding with me, we go down there. And there's 50 fucking people still partying in the basement. They got music going. They have no idea the cops have been upstairs for 20 minutes, kicking everybody else out. And it's like, well, stupid us, it's like, I think half of us that were there dealing with this, had experience on tactical teams, and we all knew how to clear buildings and shit. And it's like, I thought you checked the basement. I thought you checked the basement. It's like, well, I'm glad somebody thought of it. Anyways, half of the people in this basement, probably more than half, it's probably 30, 40 people in this basement, were dressed like what do you call them? The fucking, the blue people from the movie Avatar, like the jungle people that he was infiltrating. That was their costume. We just called them avatars. I don't know what their actual tribal name was or whatever, but it was these people body painted blue, wearing like bikinis and rags and shit to look like this tribe from the movie. And it's like, holy shit. And it was one of those where it's just like, we're not going to ID everybody and cite everybody for drinking underage, because probably everybody there is underage, and we could be writing tickets till the end of my shift, but we got other stuff to deal with. So we just kicked everybody out. And I remember there was this one avatar. It was real fucking, he's real particularly a dick. Like he was, you could tell he was probably going to go to jail before the end of the night. And, when he left, at one point he had picked up a keg. I remember he was carrying a keg over his head away from the house. And we started his direction. His buddies yelled and warned him, so he dropped the keg and ran into the bar. Like, I can't chase somebody into a fucking bar. It's like, I'm a cop. Like, the bar's my second home, in a small town. Like, I go there all the time and deal with fucking stupid people. So anyways, he runs into the bar like, he can't follow me in here. And it's like, well, I'm not going to follow you in there because I don't really give a shit. If you're going to drink like this and be this irrational, someone's going to arrest you before the end of the night because we're going to get called there. And that's exactly what happened. Like 3 hours later, when the bar let out, he was free the avatar people or whatever his problem was. I don't remember if he was running in traffic or smashing shit on smashing windows or drunk at Subway. I don't remember. However it worked out, it was that same guy. And it's just like, yep, that's strike 3, dude. You're going to the Huskow. I got yelled at by a guy in a werewolf costume one night. That was interesting. Not too many. There's not too many podcasters that can say that they got yelled at by a werewolf on Halloween. And I don't know what his problem was, if it was because it was a cop or whatever. But it's just like, it's Halloween. Maybe he was trying his best at howling, and it just sounded like he was yelling at me. But actually, my coworker, he was my sergeant when I started at the police department. He was really into ghost hunting, and we were both into the ghost hunting show. Ghost hunters. The TAPS group, where they were roto rooter plumbers, and like his lifelong dream at the time was like, we're going to be those guys, but we're going to be cops. He's like, we got to come up with a catchy name. We got to start hunting ghosts. I was like, okay. So it's a historic town that we were in, and there was a lot of folklore and ghost lore throughout the community. And we thought, well, we're not out or anything. Let's start ghost hunting. Fuck it. And we had digital recorders anyways, because we're cops. We record everything. And we acquired some other ones, not department ones, but some of our own, just so we didn't have to feel so bad using department shit to hunt ghosts. But we had some, put some feelers out there. We actually formed a group. We founded a group called PIGS, and it was Police Investigating Ghosts. That was the acronym, PIG, and then little s for the end of ghost. And my buddy and I, we started it, and we got a couple of reserves involved and some other people involved. And the idea was just, there was weird shit that goes on in all our lives that you can't always explain. And I know there's skeptics out there that will say they can explain away everything, but you can't always explain everything. And I've got a couple stories like that, I'm going to share with you here. But anyways, we started this ghost hunting group, and we were getting really into it. I mean, we all invested, we pooled our money, and we bought a portable like security setup, like a 4-camera or 6 or 8 camera system, all, it all wired to a hard drive with a monitor. And we had the Pelican cases. We'd take that all over to to different places, and we'd set up. Then we had standalone camcorders we'd set up. We'd use phones, limited capacity digital cameras, and then we had like EVP, electronic voice phenomenon detectors. Or we do a digital recorder for EVPs, and then we had what the hell is that thing? Oh, the EMF detector, detected electromagnetic radiation fields, which, computers do that. Lights, fluorescent lights especially, can do that. Motion detectors are really bad about that. But then there's times where electromagnetic energy will come just seeming from fucking nowhere, and these things, it'll spike and it'll go away. And what's interesting, what I thought was interesting, is we had at one point, see if I can remember this right. We were ghost hunting in this house that had a history. I don't know if people had died there. I don't remember the whole history, but me and the one guy, we were upstairs and we had two different EMF detectors, two different electromagnetic field detectors from two different brands. I think one might have been an iPhone. It was like one of the first iPhones that came out had an app that did it. But we had that, and then we had another legitimate one that was used for locating electronic sources, and we had both of those sitting in this doorway. Oh, now I remember the story. I do remember the story. There was a 2 or 3 year old that had died in one of the bedrooms upstairs, and there's like 2 bedrooms upstairs, 3 bedrooms upstairs. Anyways, one was like a little nook, like it didn't have the full ceiling. It only had like a 4 or 5 foot ceiling, kind of like a kid's playroom off of one of the bedrooms, and we were sitting in that little nook room, just laying on the floor. House is pitch black. It's 2 a.m, and we're talking to each other, doing our ghost hunt. And we got these detectors in the doorway between the 2 rooms. So there's no way out of the room we're in. It has like one little window down by the floor, for the kids to look out. And the only way out of this room is into the bigger, like the parents' bedroom, or the bigger bedroom. And then the stairs are off of that. And basically, whatever room we were in, we'd hear like creaks and footfalls in the other room. And if we split the rooms and each sat in one room, nothing would fucking happen, or it would happen in the room across the hall, like the room across the stairs or on the stairs. It always happened where you weren't. And it's like, the skeptics will just say, oh, that's just the house settling. You're just, you're just hearing things, whatever. I'm telling you, dude, I was a cop. I was fucking there. The noises that sounded like a kid playing on stairs only fucking happened when I wasn't near the stairs. That's the only way I can describe it. So anyways, back to the EMF detectors. So we're sitting in the far wall by the window of this little like playroom, and it sounds, like a fucking kid jumping around in the other room. Like it's, like a kid jumping and playing like a 2-3 year old kid would do. And I was like, are you fucking hearing this? And it's like, yeah, I hear it too. And so, we're asking, there's one thing they always do on the Ghost Hunter show, is they start talking to the entity or whatever it is. And so we're asking, did you die here? What's your name? It's like, can you come in here and play with us? And as the night goes on, if you're getting little activity, then you put the pressure up to communicate with these things. So it was like, we're, doing more and more. Why don't you come in here? Why don't you come introduce yourself? Yada, yada, yada. And I shit you not, after about 10, 15 minutes of antagonizing, requesting that this, I'm treating it like it's a little kid, trying to call a little kid into the other room. And after like 15 minutes of doing this, it's footsteps. It's, it's walking footsteps coming towards us in that other room. I thought they weren't loud enough, but we had a smaller female in our group. I thought maybe it was her coming up the stairs or something, because they were small footfalls, but it was definitely somebody walking. I thought it had to be somebody from our group. And the EMF detectors, they have audio noises, they go woo, as the higher the pitch, the more they're picking up. And then they have light bars on them too. And they both, the light bars were going up on both of these things. The light bars and the audio signals are going up as the footsteps come towards the doorway into this room we're in. And it's like, we're looking at each other like, what the fuck, you know? And it's like, can you step into the doorway? It's like, I know you're right there. Can you step into the doorway? And as I said that, it sounded like a kid jumping across the floor, like jumping as far as, you know, a standing long jump, as far as a kid could do from around the corner into the doorway, like trying to say boo to somebody. That's what it sounded like. And it sounded like it landed right next to these fucking EMF detectors in the doorway. And when this happened, this thudding noise, those things both skyrocketed. The pitch went from high to like dog whistle, and the lighting went from, you know, like middle of the yellow to just buried in the fucking red. And we're like, you know, what the fuck? Like, it scared the living shit out of both of us. And that was just one night. I mean, we did this stuff for years. You know, and the idea, of course, wasn't to discredit ourselves as police officers by any means, but it was just trying to explain shit like that. Like, you know, that stuff happens to people all the time. And it's like, is there an explanation? I don't know. Like, I'm trying to come up with one. Skeptics always have an explanation for everything because they're looking for one. But like a couple of these things, like I will never be able to explain them. EVP wise, voices. If you don't know what an EVP is, you didn't watch enough Ghost Hunters, number one, because they explain it every fucking episode. But what it is you take a recording, digital recording in a dry room where there's, you know, no sound, no audible anything, and you ask questions. So it's going to record you asking questions, obviously. And then the idea is when you listen, when you play this digital medium back, like disembodied voices, or skip or whatever it is, sounds that weren't audible when you recorded it will be on the recording. They won't be picked up by the microphone per se, but they will be on the recording when you play it back. And I'm telling you, whether it's some type of interference, or I don't know how to explain it, but there is a phenomena there. There is definitely something there that makes noises. Sometimes they're noises that sound like voices. Sometimes it's a straight up voice, whether that's, you know, some type of radio broadcast that came across. I have no idea. Like, I'm not trying to play skeptic. I'm trying to play neutral here. But some of the shit that we recorded, we were in a museum. Got permission from the museum board. We went to one of their monthly meetings and got exclusive permission from the curator and the board to set up shop and ghost hunt the piss out of this historic house turned museum. And we were in there. It had been closed down. Like, they close it down for the winter months, but they still have their meetings there. So there's like no heat or anything. This was in the fall, late fall, I think. But they had the place closed down, and so nobody's there during the week. Like, there's no admission. There's no, you know, you can't go in there, except they go in there for their board meetings, and we got exclusive rights to ghost hunt it. And excuse me. So we're in there, and the answering machine and the phone are still hooked up. So every now and then the phone would ring. You know, you just let it ring 5-10 times, whatever, and it would shut up. And we always made note of that when we were recording stuff. But anyways, the answering machine had messages on it from people calling, you know, wondering what hours were or whatever. And so because there were messages that had been recorded, it would beep to notify you have a message. And it would just go, you know, beep, beep, or beep, 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 or whatever it was. I think it was just 2 beeps. Anyways, so walking around doing our EVP digital recording shit, my buddy Dave had asked a question, and we walk into empty rooms, and we're at either end of this room with the phone in it for like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. And then we're walking to the next room. We take a few steps and pause, take a few steps and pause. Well, I stopped by the phone, not right next to it, you know, within 5-10 feet of the phone, and the answering machine, and it does its beep beep thing. And, you know, No big deal. We walk on, we do our whole ghost hunt. Well, when we're going back through the recorders, listening to shit, at the end of, or at the end of the ghost hunt, we're going through evidence, and on this, my recorder that I was holding while I was, in this room next to this answering machine, when it beeps, a voice that I never heard, that's not me, says in the background, answer the phone. Just like that. Just a whisper, answer the phone. And it wasn't me saying it under my breath. It wasn't Dave, my buddy, saying it. It was like we were just legitimately in a silent house. And I can't explain that. It is clear as day. Anybody could listen to that and say, that's somebody whispering the words, answer the phone. What about it? Well, nobody fucking whispered it when we recorded it. It just ended up on there. And I have no explanation for that. Absolutely none. Like, if I were a cop and I was called to, a burglary, and I get there and the door's locked, but I hear somebody yell inside, the cops are here, my gut tells me there's probably somebody in that fucking building. Well, in this case, there was nobody there, and I have no explanation for where that voice came from. Another one we had was a retired hospital turned county administration building. We got permission to go in there one evening, and again, nothing out of the ordinary during our investigation, but going through recordings afterwards, we have the definitive sound of a woman screaming and crying, just going crazy. I mean, like you stabbed her in the gut with a knife type of thing. And I'm like, Jesus, fuck, what is that? And my buddy's like, oh my God, it sounds like somebody's screaming. It's like, well, no shit, it's somebody screaming. Why is it on my recorder? And we went back and listened, and, we kind of keep track of where we're at when we're doing stuff. We'll just make audio notes to ourselves, second floor, into the hallway, whatever. And the room we were in at that time was the waiting room for the old maternity ward. I shit you not. And the first building, or the first room in the hall next to it, I think was like an administrative, like the nurse's desk. And then it was maternity rooms down that hallway. And the screaming was not coming from the room we were in. It was coming from down the hallway. Now, whether that's someone who lost a child or what, I have no explanation. All I know is nobody was fucking screaming the whole time that we did that investigation, but somehow it ended up as audio on a digital recorder. I can't explain that. Skeptics will have the answers for me, I'm sure, but I'm at a loss, and that was what kept us, the interest going in this. It doesn't make sense. I would say probably the two creepiest things I ever had happen. Those both were also while I was a cop. One was we had a county park that was actually in the city, so we patrolled it. The county could go there too. We took turns, whatever. But I had driven down there one night, and the river comes through there. It's just a nice place, to go and get some fresh air, go walk around, whatever. And so I was just parked down there, and I don't know if I was going through my phone or listening to the radio or whatever, but I just pulled into the park, had my window down. It was a nice, cool night. And I'm sitting there, and again, I can't explain this, but I didn't record this one. I heard this one audibly. I heard a voice say hello, like whisper hello, right next to my fucking window, where my open window on my patrol car. But there's nobody there. It's this park in the middle of the night, I don't remember what time it was, 2, 3 in the morning, probably. And I'm just sitting there, I think I was probably playing with my phone or the radio. Yeah, playing with something, right? And I'm sitting there and I hear, hello, just like right next to my fucking head. And it's just like, I'm out of here. One other one that happened, I forgot about this one. this was before I was a cop. This was right after I graduated high school. Like I think my first fall that I didn't have to go to school. Yes, it would have been my first semester of college that fall. I was living with a friend of mine. I wasn't living with him yet. He was living with some other friends or another friend of ours, and I was going to go up there and party or whatever. And we went to the homecoming football game just because you graduated. That's what you do. You go to the homecoming game. Look how cool I am. I'm not in school anymore, you know? And there's a couple girls we used to hang out with, kind of on and off in school. Anyways, so a group of us get together after this football game, and we're gonna drive a few towns over to where my buddy lives and just hang out, play PlayStation, whatever, have a little party. And on the way over there, my buddy gets the bright idea that he wants to go to this abandoned house, and apparently they had been there before. I'd never been there. But abandoned farmsteads are a dime a dozen, or they used to be anyways in Iowa. The old house with no windows, kids would party there, drink old Milwaukee and shoot out the windows, shit like that. And it was one of those type of houses. And we went there, and I mean, the doors kicked open, though half the windows are gone. I mean, it's just an abandoned house. So we go there, and I think there's like 3 guys and 3 girls, or 3 guys and 2 girls. I don't remember who all was there, but we go inside, and in the downstairs was pretty normal, full of dead bugs and dead mice and stuff, typical house that had been empty for years. We decided to walk upstairs, and going upstairs, I remember there was like muddy or bloody brown handprints. I mean, like straight out of like the Blair Witch. Like there was like, you could tell where like somebody really dirty had put their arm against the wall or their knuckles against the stair railing or whatever. Like it looked like somebody really gross had been up and down those stairs. I'm like, what the fuck? Is like, there's like a Sasquatch living in here or what? And I get up to this little bedroom upstairs, and there's like a twin mattress in the corner and a bunch of fucking, open and empty cans of like canned vegetables and canned beans and shit, and some old raggy flannel shirt. And it's like some homeless guy somebody was fucking living here at one point and eating canned goods and dressing like Kurt Cobain and making dirty handprints on everything. And I just thought that was really fucking weird, because this is like, I don't know, within 10 miles of my house. Like, you don't think of homeless people in the middle of cornfield, Iowa, crashing in the Blair Witch house, but that's exactly what was going on at one point. And I mean, these cans weren't that old. Like, it wasn't like this guy was living there in the 60s or some shit. It was like within the last 5-10 years, someone was living in here. Kind of creepy. But that was just the tip of the iceberg, to be honest. Like, that's creepy. That would creep you out enough at that age. We decided to go down to the basement. Or we're just, it's a house. We don't know the floor plan, so we're just checking doors and shit. Well, we find the door to the basement, and it's like, oh yeah, let's go down there. Like, half the basement steps were missing, but we figured with like 3 guys there, we've got enough brawn, we can lift each other up if the stairs collapse or whatever. Yeah, never mind the whole fucking house could collapse because we were idiots. But so we go down to the basement, and we get down, and of course it's pitch black. There's no electricity in this place, for 20 years or whatever. So we got like a flashlight, and we're shining on the steps because you got to be careful where you're stepping because you don't want to kill anybody. We get down to the bottom, and like the last 3 steps are gone, but then you look on the peripheral of what the flashlight is illuminating, and it's dirt. Like, it's dirt fucking floor, like dirt you'd find in a cornfield, dirt. Right next to the wood of the steps. And it's like, well, shouldn't this thing have block or concrete or limestone or something going on? So my buddy shines the light up and he kind of scans the basement walls. And 2 of the 3 basement walls, or 2 of the 4 basement walls, 3 of them that we can see, 2 of the 3 that we're looking at have collapsed. The one behind us is intact, and the one straight across from us is intact, but the 2 side walls have collapsed. Like the walls have caved in, and all the fucking dirt from around the house had come in, and it had all kind of flowed downward, making this like a this is depression, almost like a crater in the middle of the room. And so it's just like, okay, the walls are collapsed. We should probably get out of this fucking house now. And then my buddy shines the light down into this crater in the middle of the room. And I hope he still remembers this, because I'm never going to fucking forget this. Inside this hole is probably 3 feet across, 2.5, 3 feet across, the spot in the middle of all the dirt and brick and rubble. This depression in the middle of the cellar was full. And I don't mean like 1 or 2. I'm talking like fucking 30, 40. I don't know. It was full of dead fucking animals. I didn't stick around to look at what all they were. I know there was rabbits. I think there was possums and raccoons. There might have been a few cats. I don't know. But they were dead, bloody, rotten fucking animals piled up in a hole in the ground in a basement with 2 collapsed walls in an abandoned house. Now, I remember the one guy, it was the first thing anybody spoke once we saw it. His exact words were, "That and we're fucking going." And I think we broke the rest of the stairs on the way out of there. We didn't even let the girls come down, because it's just like, we had no business being in that house. I don't know what, and to this day, I have no idea what the fuck does that. Besides maybe a human. Why were these animals dead? Number 1. Why were they in this fucking house? Number 2. 3, why are they all piled up in this little fucking campfire ring looking thing? You know, why are they in the middle of the hole, in the middle of the basement fucking floor? It makes no sense. I have no way to explain that. And I don't know if I want an explanation at this point in my life, to be honest. It's one of the creepiest fucking things I've ever been through in my life. And I've been through some pretty creepy shit. It's like, you know, and again, skeptics, you know, you'll have your day with it. Oh, you know, big cats commonly bury their food and come back to it. Yeah, a fucking mountain lion in the middle of Iowa was catching all these animals and burying them for later. You got it. Is it possible? Yeah, I guess it is. So we'll just say, you know, that one's not that scary. An animal did it. But the one, I'd say the ultimate story I have that garners no explanation. I know what I saw. The gentleman who was with me knows what he saw. It was on film. It was on a recording camera, but it didn't show up on the camera. So let me lay this one out for you. This will probably be my last, probably the last Halloween story I got for you today. We're getting kind of long-winded here. This is back when I was on patrol. City officer, that same town where we did all the ghost hunting and everything. And it's actually just a few blocks from the house I was living in at the time. My buddy, one of my buddies that did the ghost hunting with me, that was an officer, was riding with me. And we came down this hill, and we were in the middle of a city block, residential area. And we were up on a hill, and because we were in the middle of the block, it'd be the alley of the next block. So it's exactly a block away from us, a little less maybe. It's about a block away from us, but in the alley, not on the city streets, is where I see this thing. Anyways, we're coming down this hill, and we're coming up on the intersection of the next block. And we're driving, and I stop the car when I see I'll explain what I saw, but without saying anything, I stopped the car, and the first thing the officer riding with me does is turns to me and says, "What the fuck was that?" And I hadn't said a word. I just stopped the car in awe. And I said, "You saw that too?" And he's like, "Yeah." So we hightailed it down. Anyways, what I had seen was we crested this hill, and we're coming down it towards the intersection. And this next block is, I don't know, maybe 15 feet, 20 feet below an elevation from this hill we're on. So we come over this hill, and we're coming down. And on that next block ahead of us, at the halfway point, where the alley shoots across the road that we're on, I see what I can only describe as it looked like a pair of opaque, you can see through them trousers. It was almost like if you made a pair of pants out of like fiberglass window screen or some type of a screen material where you can see through it, but it's kind of dark. It was like a pair of pants made out of that running. And when I say running, it was like not normal speed running. It looked like a translucent or an opaque, you can see through it, kind of a smoke. Like it had a definitive shape. It was like, they say shadow people where you can see through them. It was like that. It was legitimate, like waist and leg shaped. No shoes, no torso. It just looked like legs. It looked like legs running, but at like double or triple speed. Like it was covering twice as much ground as it should have for the speed that it was running. It almost looked like Olympic speed skaters. You know how fast they're going for no more than they're moving their legs? It was kind of like that, but running. So it's just like, the legs are going back and forth, swish, 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 like a normal running pace that legs would alternate if you're watching somebody run. But the thing was covering like 2 or 3 times more ground than it should have. No human can run that fucking fast. No human on planet Earth can run that fast. Number one. Number two, it looks like pants and you can see through it. That's weird. I thought maybe it was a trash bag blowing around or something. You see weird shit. But what I found out was we had about a 3/4 of an inch to a half inch of snow on the ground that day. That had just fallen that night. And so when he says to me, did you see that? And I was like, yeah, I saw it. So we go down there. One would expect to see fresh tracks in the snow if it was a person, right? Nothing but snow going through that alley. There was there was a set of tracks from earlier that had been drifted over for the most part. Like somebody had walked down there earlier in the night, you could tell. But nobody ran through there. It's impossible. You could not have done it and left tracks. Well, then the next thing I was thinking is, oh shit, well, I got a dash camera, and the dash camera in my car was always recording. Like the hard drive was always recording stuff. And what would happen is when you activate the camera, it would tack on that first like 2 minutes before you activated the camera would get applied to whatever track you were recording. That way you get to see the lead up to any reason the cop would have to use his siren or his lights. And it's always recording. And I don't know if that was accessible or not, but it keeps cops from doing anything dishonest too, knowing if there's always a camera going. Well, because I was within 2 minutes of seeing this thing when I stopped the car and drove down there, I got smart. I hit the record button so that the 2 minutes prior, going clear back to before we drove over the hill, would be saved on the hard drive, and we could go back and watch it. So I hit save, or I activate the lights, and then I stop it and I save it as a recording. And we watch it, and you can't see anything. You come over the hill, and there's nothing down there. You just see me slow down and stop the car, and then you hear our audio. What the fuck was that? Did you see that? Did you see that? And we drive down. I was like, well, this is a stupid recording. There's absolutely nothing going on down there. It just makes us look like we made the whole fucking thing up. But I'm telling you, it looked like a pair of pants that you could see through, and it was running twice as fast as any human is capable of running. And it didn't leave any tracks in the snow. And that's the only way I can describe it. Is creepy. If it was just me, I'd say, boy, I saw a weird thing the other day. But when I've got somebody riding with me and I stop the car out of concern, and the first thing out of his fucking mouth is the same thing that I want to say after seeing it, there's something going on there. Like, I can't explain that away. And of course we went back, other officers went back, we tried driving down that hill thinking maybe it's a shadow or, a leaf went across the windshield or something. I'm telling you, we found no way to replicate that. And it was creepy. And I kind of forgot about it. It's not something you think about every day. Like, well, maybe it would be for some people because it was pretty fucked up. But anyways, I hadn't thought about it for years, especially since I got out of law enforcement and I moved up to northern Minnesota. and I got, kind of my own thing going. I hadn't thought about it in years, and I was on Reddit one day, and I don't even remember what. Oh, I remember what I was looking at. The missing 411. If you're not familiar with that, a retired investigator from I think it was like San Diego, or I don't remember where he's from. West Coast, from California somewhere. Retired investigator out there, David Politis. He started looking into missing people in like state and national parks. Weird missing people cases where people just go missing in the environment and they never find them. It's never animal attacks. He has a whole big criteria. It's really, really interesting stuff he's done. He identified these clusters all over. Look into that. The Can-Am Project, Missing 411, David Politis. Anyways, I was reading about stories because that does interest me, because there's legitimately something going on. He's on to something from one former cop to another. There's something going on. It's unexplained. Anyway, so I'm reading these Reddit stories, and I come across a story from Illinois, from a state park that's actually not that far from where my in-laws live in Illinois. And this I think he was Iraq or Afghanistan. He was a veteran of foreign war, probably around my age. Him and his girlfriend or fiance were hiking in this state park, and ended up. I don't remember how it came. He felt like he was being watched, type of thing. And he said, "Look behind him, nothing there. Look behind him, nothing there." And there was another group of hikers he didn't know way back behind him. He could hear them talking, but he said he kept getting this feeling he's being watched. And he said he spun around and looked behind him, and there was a woman in a red coat walking towards him with her arms out like she was going to grab him or grab his wife or his girlfriend or whatever and cause them harm. But he said what was weird is she was moving twice as fast as she should have been for the speed that her legs were going. That's what caught me. Like, it's weird enough. You look and there's nobody there. You look 5 seconds later and there's fucking somebody there. That's weird enough. And I've had that happen, at work and stuff. A friend sneaks up on you and you don't know it. But to legitimately have that happen and have it be somebody with their arms out, like they're coming after you. Like, I don't remember how far. I think she was like 10 feet away from him or something. And he said he yelled at her and like, "What are you doing?" And she just looked at him like, "Oh shit, they caught me." And it's like, that's weird enough. But then when you what got me was him saying that she was moving fast as twice as her legs should have allowed. That's weird. That's a weird consistency with that fucking thing that I saw. I don't know what to make of it. It's interesting. I should reach out to him actually and see, maybe get him on the show here and have him see if he'll recant his, or not recant, but if he'll go through the story with us on a podcast sometime, because I would love to tell my story to him, and then have him reiterate his story, because there's something going on. There's a connection there for certain. Bullshit I can't explain. Like, I got no answers there. You couple that with all the missing 411 stories. Some of those have happened up in this area of Minnesota I'm living in, and continue to happen to this day. It's just, there's more wilderness up here, but there's some next level weird shit going on, and Halloween's the perfect time of year to bring these stories up. So I think that's going to close out, our Halloween topic for the day. Let's see. Next week, I'm looking at probably. I think we'll discuss, sticking with current events. I think I'll do a show on the public response to COVID-19, like what it is doing to people, like mentally. Like I know a lot of people are trying to stay at home and avoid it, but for people on the front lines that are out there dealing with it, I've got some stories for you, because it's not helping. Not helping society become any better, that's for sure. So last but not least, I'm just I'll close this out quick with the story of the pink stuff in the field, which is the title of the podcast, title of the book I'm writing. And it goes back to my childhood, growing up on the farm. We had it's sprayers from the co-op would come out and they'd spray herbicide or pesticide or, whatever chemicals that I'm sure were harmful, but they'd come out and they would spray the fields down with these great big, they almost look like Tonka trucks. They called them Terragators. Some of them had 3 wheels, some of them had 4 wheels. They were really big, cool vehicle, as close to a monster truck as I'd ever seen, as a kid, growing up in the middle of Podunk, Iowa. And anyways, they would spray the fields with these things. I thought the trucks were cool, number one. And then what blew my mind about them was they had the big boom arms that would swing out, and so they could spray a wider swath than what the truck could go down the road. And to tell where they were going and avoid from spraying the same area twice, they had these big, long, donkey dick looking hoses that would hang down off the end of the boom, and they would drop like a shaving cream. Like they would drop this foam all over the field, and it would drop in line with where they were spraying. So when they turn around, they can be like, okay, well, there's 2 big white lines of foam. I know my next course is to spray on this side of it. And they do that all the way across the field so they didn't miss any spots or cover anything twice. Well, what was great was some of them had white foam that you could see, but there's a lot of trash blowing around out in the field, garbage bags and sometimes snow. And there's a lot of shit out there that's white. So not all of them had the white foam. Some of them had the bright, almost like a neon pink foam. And I remember I was just a little kid when the first time I saw that they had gone to the pink foam. And it's just like, I'm so used to the boring white shaving cream looking foam that they came to spray one day. And they had pink foam. And I was like, holy fucking shit. The foam is pink. And I don't know how old I was. Just a little kid, 4 or 5 years old probably. And I remember I was telling my brother about it because, when you're 4 or 5 years old, your older brother's the coolest person besides your parents. So I was just like, oh, the foam's pink. You got to check out this pink stuff. You got to look at the pink stuff. And I remember we went out to look at it, and I had been told, I'm sure I had been told, you don't go in the field after they sprayed because there's poison there. I mean, common sense now as an adult suggests that. Well, anyways, when I was a fucking kid, you forget these things when you see pink, giant looking shaving cream shit, and you just want to run out in the field and grab a handful of this neon pink foam. So I started that direction. I remember my mom yelling at me. And the idea behind this podcast is not to embarrass my parents at all. It's more to shit on myself and stupid people around the world than anything else. But so I take off. I'm making a break for the pink stuff in the field, as it were. And I remember my mom, I don't know if she grabbed me, but I remember her screaming at me, saying, "You can't go out there. It's poison. That's poison." It's like, I want to see the pink stuff. And she's like, "No, that's poison. You can't be around that." And so from then on, for the next couple of years, I thought the pink stuff was the poison. Like, never mind all the shit they sprayed on the field, fucking DDT or who knows what the fuck they were spraying, Agent Orange. Yeah, and it's just like my mind just associated, because I was so fixated on that pink foam, and my mom yelling, "No, it's poison, you can't go there, it's poison." My mind missed a few steps when it made that connection, and it instantly built a bridge from fucking poison that's gonna kill you to neon pink stuff in the field. So there you have it. One of those things I grew up not knowing if it was true or not. I don't think the pink stuff in and of itself is harmful. I'm going to do some investigating. I got some friends that work at co-ops now that I'm older, farm kids that grew up, and they drive them some bitches. So I'm going to ask one of them, is the foam itself toxic? And he'll probably be like, no, it's the same shit that, it's the same shit that kids blow bubbles with. We just mix it stronger. Anyways, so there you have it. The pink stuff in the field is poison. Stay away from the pink stuff in the field. That is all I got for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back next week, and we will discuss COVID out in public. Again, my name is Daniel Smith, and you have been listening to the Pink Stuff in the Field. Happy Halloween.